In this section, we are going to answer the question, what is urban agriculture? And this isn't just a definition about the practice, it goes in depth into what types of activities and some other characteristics of urban agriculture that can be used to really describe what's taking place on a property. In order to effectively address urban agriculture, it's important to describe the types of activities encompassed and differentiate between them. To do this, I've created some categories that different jurisdictions have used to differentiate between types of urban agriculture. They include form, content, purpose, and intensity. To begin, we'll talk about form. Form typically means, what does a plot look like? Does it have divided plots where one person is tending an area? Or does it mean a collective growing space that might look more like the hedgerows of a farm? Communities can describe a community garden or a urban farm in terms of what it looks like, its form. They can state that a community garden has divided plots. They can also state that a community garden can also include areas under cultivation by the entire group. Next, content. Content meaning what types of foods or animals are grown on the property. This can mean fruits and vegetables. This can mean horticultural plants. This can mean flowers. It can also mean animals and bees. But it can be important to state what types of uses are allowed on an urban agriculture property. Oftentimes, there are different provisions already within codes discussing the keeping of animals in urban environments. If these already exist, it's a good idea to look at them and see, are there changes that need to be made before maybe chicken keeping can be included within an urban agriculture definition? Next, let's look at purpose. Is the growing taking place for personal consumption, or is the food grown on the plot typically being sold into retail or wholesale? Some cities are concerned about on-site sales or off-site sales from community garden parcels, and they restrict that. Other cities are interested in the promise of urban agriculture for not only the provision of healthy foods, but also for urban redevelopment and the promise that it can create jobs for communities. In these communities, there might be greater interest in allowing urban agriculture to produce food for retail and for profit. Finally, some communities address urban agriculture by talking about the intensity of cultivation. How large is the lot? Does the lot look more like a working farm? Or does it look more like a community garden with a couple of strawberry plants and a tree? Some community gardens can be really sparse just because urban agriculture is tough. That's why professionals often are doing our farming. But cities are interested in describing how large a farming operation is, and some have included this type of language within their codes. San Francisco is one example of this. They differentiate between types of agriculture based on the size of the area under cultivation. Now we're going to take an in-depth look at Seattle. Seattle recently updated its zoning code as it pertains to urban agriculture practices, and they did it quite comprehensively. Their definitions for urban agriculture really span all of the categories I just described. So let's go through it. First, they state that one type of urban agriculture is animal husbandry. So they're very specific about where animal husbandry can take place. They also talk about aquaculture, which is the keeping of fish. They define community gardens, and that is mainly differentiated by the fact that the food grown on community gardens is not for sale, it's for personal consumption. Next, Seattle defines horticulture as a type of urban agriculture, and it's a use other than an urban farm in which plants are grown for the sale of the plants themselves or for their product for the use in a business. So this is a business type of use. And finally, Seattle defines an urban farm, which is a use that is for commercial production, and items that aren't from the farm can't be sold on site, but the items from the farm can be sold on that plot. Urban farms are divided into two types. those that are less than 4,000 square feet, and those that are greater than 4,000 square feet. That last provision refers to the intensity, how much is being farmed. This example provides a very comprehensive look at a way that different urban agriculture practices can be defined within a zoning code. Seattle goes further and then addresses where each of these types of uses can take place.